How to weave on a board or a board loom. Today I'll be making this bookmark. Hold on, here's the theme song.
Love Miss Bob! Love Miss Bob! Love Miss Bob!
Hello, welcome again. Today we're going to be working with a board loom board that has these little notches cut out just like this. We will be using with us this board, a yarn needle. I'm using my loom pick. You can use anything you want to push the yarn down. Some scissors, and of course, yarn. Now I'll be working with two separate colors so that you can see a little bit easier how it weaves through. And first we're going to start off with wrapping the warp. Now the warp is the part that goes up and down, and we start just by tying, I'm going to tie a little slip knot here. And I'm going to fix it to this first little corner and pull tight. Now we take the string and we go up. Oops, got to get this part on camera, turn it a little bit better. Here we go. And then we come around the peg. See, just around and bring it down. Now I'm going to go in between the same two pegs there because I want my warp to be a little bit closer together. There are a lot of other times where we're going to go in between and then wrap the next peg, but for today we're going to do this putting two strands in the one hole because I really want this to be a nice tight weave. So hold on, speed it up a little bit, get it all done because otherwise this video would take forever. Had a small knot there, and here we go. Now I have the advantage of having this yarn perfectly cut because I had already pre-wrapped it to demonstrate to a co-op class that I was teaching. So I'm just going to, again, tie a little slip knot onto the end and slip it onto that peg. But at that point, if you were working directly from a skein, you would want to cut the yarn first, obviously. So there we have it. And like I said, this part that goes usually up and down on the loom, which you will when I have it turned properly, but the part that you lay down first is called the warp. Now, real quick, I just want to show you something. Hold on just a second here. We're going to flip over to the back. Now, on the back, you'll notice it's around each of these pegs. You don't have any going across the middle. None. So just make sure that that's how your back looks. Okay. Now, we're going to move on. Now, when you put your other string through your waft, you're going to want to make sure that you give yourself a little space at the bottom. Now, I have this beautiful yarn needle threader that I like to use. It makes it a lot easier for things to go quicker when I'm threading my needle. It's not that I cannot twist it through, it's just that would have taken like a longer time. So very simply move the yarn to the side and get started. To get started, you simply use your needle and go under the first, under one, over two, and then we're going under the next one again. So under one, over two, all the way across. But you don't, because the needle's so short, you don't necessarily go the whole way across every single time. Like I'm going to stop right about here and just kind of start pulling my yarn through a little bit just to make it easier on my yarn length. But you do have that's comfortable for you. They do have some needles that are longer that you could just keep on going across. And I'm going to speed it up here in just a second so you can just see, but you just keep that, you know, under one, over the next pattern going all the way across. Now, notice I pull it, I leave myself a tail that I can play with, and you'll see I'm not all the way down at the bottom. I want to give myself some room to tie off those ends when I'm done. So here we go. All right, so there's the first line. Now I'm just going, this last one I went under, you can see there, I went under it. So going back across, I'm now going to go over it. So over that one and then under the one that I went over. So the rows alternate. When you're going left to right, you do one thing. When you go right to left, you do the opposite. And right here, make sure you don't pull this end too tight, because you watch how if you pull it, it pulls all those in. No. Leave your ends nice and loose so that those warp threads stay straight. I know at first it doesn't look like it's going to be tight weaving if you do that. Trust me, it will. Leave it loose. And then right here, you're going to see me use the loom pick. I kept it speedy. I'll slow that down the next time I go around. But I did several rows with thread and then I ran out. So there's the tail where I stopped. I'm just going to, there are a couple different ways to change colors or change threads. I'm trying to do a real easy one where I'll just hide the tails later instead of trying to weave them in right now. On a different video later, I might show you where I weave them in as I go. But for now, it was just easier to leave those tails out. So here I go, laying on my next color. And again, that's mainly so that you can see where one thread stopped and the other started. If I used the same color, you would not have been able to see that. I'd like for you to be able to see on this project where we're going. So we just pick up where we left off. So again, on the starting from the right side means that that very first one we will go over, not under. Even though we change colors, we go the same direction that we were already going. So here we go, back to the over. As soon as I get my yarn out of the way. Over, under, all the way across. And I'm going to do several rows with this yellow and see how big it is then, and we'll show you about weaving in our ends and things. Now see, here's where I slowed it down so you can see me pulling it down with that loom pick. See how I kind of go across a little bit? I do go back and tighten things up, really mash it down. But yeah, I like it because I can get in between the individual strands and it does not fray up the worsted weight yarn. Sometimes when I'm using those combs that they often advertise for kits and things, it frays up my yarn and I don't like it. Here you can see I have gone through, I went ahead and added some orange to make it wide. You can go further up your board, but for right now, I just wanted to stop and show you this because I just wanted mine to be a bookmark. So we're just going to cut. And now I'm going to very simply take 2 strands and tie them into a double knot. Just like you would tying your shoes so that they don't come untied. Just twice. You can use a square knot or you can just, 1 and then 2, however you like to do it. Once I do those first 2 strands, I'm going to move on to the next 2. Now, the weaving will have an odd number of strands, so somewhere in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and tie an extra bit, but I've tied all the way across the one side and now the other, and now I'm going to show you how I intend to hide these ends in. Because they're on the end, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to hide them because I can just kind of go down the edges, making sure that I wrap around, and then I'll just trim off the lasting parts. So again, threaded the needle, and now you're going to see me, I'm going to fiddle around and show you how I want to wrap so that you can see it go. I just go all the way down the one side. I just shove that needle all the way through there. And I keep that loose. I kind of pull the strands back up. And I want to go through because I'm going to wrap that other orange piece around that way. So now I want to go up this next bit, but not all the way. I want to go in and right there. So I can pull those down and then just get in there and trim that off. And those threads will hold that in place. Then again with this side, now this is the one, like I said, I'm going to pull it around to hide that end warp thread. And we'll just speed through the rest here. And then I trimmed all the ends off, and then there you go. There's the finished bookmark. Currently using it in the new Ted Dekker book I'm reading. Not sponsored for this video, just throwing that out there. But there you have it. Until next time, guys, this has been Love, Miss Bob. Bye!